Today I'm going to talk about collaborations. A collaboration that was born out of a concern. The concern that we're approaching 2015 and the Millennium Goals are far from being achieved. In fact, in some cases and some countries, progress is moving backwards. A response of the UNESCO and United Nations was to develop a new initiative, the Global Education First Initiative. An initiative with 3 pillars, of which the International Council on Education for Teaching are focusing on 2: improving the quality of learning and fostering global citizenship. Preparing globally competent teachers is a large task, and it's a task that we cannot achieve on our own. Consequently, we looked outside the organisation for similar, like-minded groups to collaborate. And one such group that we've found is the Education Futures Collaboration.
All countries want the best education for their children, but the challenge of keeping a teacher up to date over 40 years is one that no country has yet been able to meet. How do we keep those teachers up to date? How does a teacher who needs some specific knowledge around the teaching of a specific concept access that when they're working with a class over a period of a few lessons? The Education Futures Collaboration is a group of like-minded people who've come together to address this problem. We're going to put a proposal to you which uses digital technologies and pulls together the collective research knowledge we have around the world to provide a resource to support the teachers at whatever time they need specialist knowledge in accessing that. So here's an example on reluctant writers. This is research carried out over a 3-year period, and you'll see that we've put the title on the first row, and on the next row we have a number of organising concepts which apply to virtually any research project. So first of all, in using this resource, a teacher educator might want to look at what the evidence is so they get some sense of how strong the evidence is for the advice. In the next column, we show you how a teacher could diagnose a particular problem that might be stopping a child learning a particular concept. How can they identify what the problem is? In the next column, we identify contextual factors which can affect the learner, and these will vary from class to class, society to society. In the next column, we have pedagogical strategies which have been found to help these particular learners. And in the last column, you'll see where we're gathering case studies of success that teachers are reporting. At the end of this resource, there's an indication of where research needs to go next. So imagine, with a resource such as this, a trainee teacher could update themselves very quickly on all the areas of knowledge that they need to master as a teacher. We've identified at least 1,000 key concepts that any teacher needs to be familiar with. As a teacher, you could go and find knowledge of the sort you need at the time you need. You might have a child who's having difficulty in reading or writing or particular concepts. Maybe the parent would have a look with you. Maybe you would work with a carer who might be looking after that child, or a support worker in school. As a researcher, you could use this resource to find out where the gaps of knowledge are so that you could target your energies more appropriately. As a funder, you could see where research evidence was strong and where it was weak, and get much more value for your investment than has ever been possible previously. As a policymaker, you could see how strong the evidence was for pedagogical practices that you might come across, and you would be making your decisions about how your education system might change on the basis of the firmest evidence that this collective group of educators around the world could put before you. So what I've set out here is an example of a MESH guide. MESH stands for Mapping Educational Specialist Know-how, and that's this initiative that we invite educators, educational researchers, people with expert knowledge around the world to contribute to.
Contributions could be in the forms of support, providing the resources to expand the number of maps and also the networks or system that supports the MESH guides. Another form of support of getting involved is to contribute as a MESH writer, contributing to the knowledge which is shared both within your region and also across the world. I think also a final contribution is in terms of connecting, collaborating with other people within the communities. You'll find on our websites established communities where you have the opportunity to join that community and contribute to the conversations and enhance the quality and the relevance of the MESH guides.
In this way, as educators, we can meet the OECD challenge to our sector. The OECD has called for educators to create knowledge-rich, evidence-based education environments, and that's what we are doing through MESH.
I think we'll agree that the collaboration between the International Council on Education for Teaching and the Education Futures collaboration has provided an important innovation that could contribute to improving the quality of learning and fostering of global citizenship.
As 2015 approaches, the need for us as educators to do everything we can to meet the Millennium Goals becomes more and more pressing. Please get involved now.